So what's the weather today?
Right now in Toronto, it's 12 degrees Celsius with clear skies and sun. Throughout the day, you can expect more of the same, with a high of 23 degrees and a low of 12 degrees.
I've lived in Toronto my entire life, but I've always wanted to explore and see the city the way I explore and see other cities, and that's as a tourist. For years, I've seen the double-decker sightseeing bus drive down the street, and I've thought, I want to do that. Basically, be a tourist in my own city. But if I want to feel like a tourist, I've got to dress like one first. Cue the montage. It's tourist time. Okay, that line was a little cheesy, but I went with it. Oh, and I didn't end up wearing the fanny pack. Felt a little overkill. I walked up to Dundas Square, which is stop number 1 of my double-decker sightseeing bus adventure. And Dundas Square is essentially our version of Times Square. If Toronto had a center, this would be it. Now, for context, this isn't going to be a comprehensive, in-depth tour of Toronto. Basically, I'm treating this as if I have a few hours to check out the city, and I'm going to see where the bus takes me. So here we go. From Dundas Square, the bus heads north up Yonge Street, which I believe may still be considered the longest street in the world, but you can fact-check me on that.
If you pronounce the name of the city as Toronto, then that's how locals will know you're definitely not from here. Because we say that the second T in Toronto stands for tourist. If you don't want to sound like a tourist, you kind of slur the whole name together and just say Toronto.
The tour takes us through the quiet but posh area of Yorkville, which is famous for its high-end stores, restaurants, and hotels. I even spotted author Malcolm Gladwell having lunch. From there, we traveled down past the Royal Ontario Museum, which is known as the ROM. And curved around the backside of Queen's Park. We didn't get to see it from the bus, but Queen's Park is the home of our impressive-looking legislative building for the province of Ontario. The bus then took us through the middle of the University of Toronto, where I happened to go to school. Before heading up Spadina Avenue towards a stop I was looking forward to seeing, and that is Casa Loma.
The construction of the Casa Loma was equivalent to $100 million.
Casa Loma is a castle overlooking the city and is a popular wedding and event venue, but also a filming location for a bunch of movies. And for me, the most notable one is Scott Pilgrim.
What is this place? It's a totally awesome castle. They're shooting this movie here right now.
If anyone is familiar with the X-Men movies, X University was actually Casa Loma right over here.
Jumping back on the bus, we turned down St. George Street at the Bata Shoe Museum.
The design of the place is meant to look like a shoebox with the lid loosely placed up top there.
We drove past the AGO, the Art Gallery of Ontario.
And if you see this glass structure that is on the outside of the gallery, which was designed...
Which is actually a place I hope to revisit in the near future, as I did study art in school. And if you look for it, you can see the uniquely designed Ontario College of Art and Design building, which I think is supposed to look like a pencil case.
It is actually meant to look like a pencil box with some pencils falling out of it.
Nice, still got it.
This is actually University Avenue, nicknamed as Hospital Alley, because this is where all our major hospitals stand today.
The tour then took us past Nathan Phillips Square, which is where our city hall is, and has been featured in many films, including Resident Evil. Driving west on Queen Street, we passed my old work, Much Music, which was once the heart of music and youth culture in the city and the country.
And we have now entered the entertainment district of the city of Toronto. Just passing there on the right side is the Festival Tower, which is where the Toronto International Film Festival takes place every year in September for 10 days.
The bus then wound its way through the city to my most favorite and unmissable building in the city.
The one and only CN Tower,
which stands at over 1,800 feet and is nestled between Ripley's Aquarium and the Rogers Center, home of the Toronto Blue Jays.
It used to be the tallest structure in the world up until 2013 when the Burj Khalifa finished construction, which surpasses by a long shot.
I can't mention the Blue Jays without mentioning the Leafs and the Raptors, who both play in this building, Scotiabank Arena.
And back on the right there, you might have seen, that is the Union Station, the largest and busiest subway station in the country, where it processes over 300,000 people every single day.
From there, the tour headed towards my neighborhood, which is famous for the St. Lawrence Market.
Before it was a market, it was actually the first location of City Hall
and the Distillery District.
This is the main area of the Distillery District that we can see right over there. And then later in the evening there, it is a lot more active. But as you can see, there is a ton of construction going on throughout the entire city. And us Torontonians, we like to have a little cheesy joke between each other. We say that we only got, really, it's just 2 seasons. We got winter and we got construction.
And with that, our tour was essentially over. But I can't be a true Toronto tourist without experiencing the view from its most iconic structure. The CN Tower opened in 1976, and for over 30 years, it was the world's tallest building.
Freestanding structure.
I love the CN Tower. It is the defining symbol of our skyline, and it's a beacon or modern-day lighthouse that guides locals from every corner of the city and tourists from around the world. It represents aspiration and innovation, and whatever else someone pulls from this nearly 50-year-old tree trunk made of concrete and steel. In life, we tend to only see things from our perspective. But there's a lot we can learn about ourselves and each other if we occasionally look at things that are familiar to us as if we're looking at them through the eyes of a tourist.
It's a tower that is built primarily in the first instance as a communication device, but in the fullness of time has taken on a much more significant role. It could be likened to the Sydney Opera House in that it's serving not only the function for which it was built, but it's become a very definite symbol of the city and put this particular city on the map in North America.